Welcome back, good students. We're still looking at Silent Song and other stories. We haven't really exhausted everything in this particular collection of anthologies by different authors and different writers who are trying to share different sentiments and different thoughts as far as their input is concerned. And in this particular episode, you're looking at BOYI. BOYI by Gloria Mwaninga. This is a writer from Kenya. We're going to look at a couple of few things here and there. We're going to look at the plot synopsis, the plot summary, the text itself. We're going to look at a couple of characters and how are they developed in the story itself. We're also going to look at the thematic concerns towards the end of this particular text. It's going to be a little bit lengthy. Buckle up, brace yourself for the same. And also a few sentiments as far as, let's say, okay, I've already said that on the themes are concerned. And in fact, literally, we're going to look at the themes. We look at the summary itself, the character traits, and even as we're waiting to have a exam style question or a prompt, an essay prompt that compels us or that prompts us to respond, and of course followed by a sample response, a model response. I usually call them model responses. In case you're coming across this work, it's your first time you bumped across this work accidentally, or a good friend of yours did refer you to this particular channel, a thumbs up or subscription and a sharing with other good friends, especially those ones that you know and you think this work will be of benefit, will do me good. By subscribing means that our future uploads, you won't be left out. You'll be the first one to be notified. Leave that notification bell on, and that is the right thing and the best thing that you can definitely do to me personally and also to this particular channel. And again, if literature is maybe a field that you're passionate about, then definitely this one channel that you'd want to hook yourself up for the future updates. So buckle up, brace yourself. Without that further much ado, let's dive into it. Who is Gloria? Gloria Mwaninga is a fictional writer from Kenya. Her story, BOYI, captures the occurrences of the 2005 land war in Mount Elgon. These are points to guide our interpretations even as you're going to be, and again, hoping that you've read this particular text, and I'm working on the premise that you read it. So when I talk of points that will guide our interpretations, then you should also be able to, affiliate and concurrently move together with the episodes or the events as they are unfolding. So we have land war and its effects. We have demand for land protection fee, recruitment of young men into the militia, murder or killings of people, and also considering how the militia kills. Also, people, while the government forces the killing of militia members, we also have that. People are forced to flee their homes, displacement of people, betrayal, and also betrayal, rather. There's pain and suffering that the people face due to war and the rise of the militia. There's also traditions. Those are the episodic events or the events as they are put in that particular order of procession. We're going to see them in that particular order as they are going to be revealed or unfolding later on. So, the title of the story, BOYI, is borrowed from the main character's name, who is the brother to the narrator. BOYI is recruited into a militia group and ends up dead when the armed forces troops come to flush out members of the militia. Again, the text is done in the first-person perspective, but again, we see the events unfolding or unfolding through the eyes of the narrator, who is BOYI's brother. But of course, BOYI is the main character here, who is maybe who the main events are projected around, and we're going to see how that one is coming out clear. So quickly, let's look at the characters in this particular short story, BOYI. First, we have BOYI himself. He's the brother of the narrator, a 15-year-old boy recruited into a militia group when his parents are unable to pay the land protection fee and They betray fee that the leader of the militia demands. He grows and rises in rank and becomes the right-hand man of Matwa K, the militia's leader. He is presented as a jovial, sociable, and outgoing person who always engaged in games and plays tricks with his sister. He is reportedly killed by armed forces troops sent by the government to flush out the militia to end the war. We have the narrator. The narrator of the text is an omniscient narrator. We're going to see how that one takes place. Boy's sister is Boy's sister through whom the story is told. Is very keen and observant as she can note the things that happen in her family and even outside the family and reports them in the story. She had a close relationship with Boy, therefore is greatly affected by his recruitment to the militia and devastated once she learns of his death. She senses Boy's death when the huge Nandi flame tree at the front of the house falls. We have Baba. He's the father to Boy and the narrator. He aided the government representative who gave land to strangers by giving him a panga and makonge ropes, therefore being considered as a traitor by the militia. He hands over his 15-year-old son, Boy, to the militia group leader when he is unable to raise the 40,000 fee demanded from him. We have Mama. She is the mother to Boy and the narrator, and the wife to Baba. She's deeply affected when Boy, that's supposed to be Boy, good students, is handed over to the militia by Baba. She remains hopeful that Boy will escape the militia and come back home one day. We have Matwa K. He's the leader of the militia group. He's presented as a ruthless, vengeful, and brutal person who demands that Baba should pay 10,000 land protection tax and 30,000 betrayal tax failure, to which the militia would show Baba smoke without fire. We have Chesober. He's Baba's friend who taught at Chepkurkur Primary School. He delivers news that the militia had a long list of people who had aided the government exercise to divide the people's land to strangers. We have Chesaina. He is an old friend of Baba who works as a watchman in a grain depot far away in Chwele Market. He brings news to Baba's family that Boy was now a marked man since he was Matoske's right-hand man. We have Simoni. Simoni, he delivers a copy of the Nation newspaper which contains news about Boy's death. Quickly, let's look at the synopsis. Gloria Mwaninga's story, that is Boy, is a contemporary story about forming a militia group to revolt against land allocation to strangers. The story heavily alludes to the Mount Elgon land war in Kenya that began in 2005. The Sabaot Land Defense Force militia group was formed to protect the land of the Sabaots from being invaded by the strangers. Still, the militia ended up causing harm and suffering to its people. Real group was led by Wycliffe Matakwe, hence the name of the militia leader in the story, Matwa K. That's how he ended up getting his name. Told in the first-person narration voice, the story, first-person narration voice, good students, is also a style of writing. And whenever text is done in the first-person perspective, it means that it's more personal. The events which are being spoken about here, they are very personal. They are not very much detached from the writers or the narrators themselves. To some extent, we can account to their validity and authenticity that it's happening in the first-person perspective. So therefore, they're told in the first-person narration voice. The story Boy opens with the narrator remembering how their Baba pushed Boy to the Matwa K when the militia leader came to demand 40,000 land protection tax and betrayal tax which you could not raise. Matwa K is the leader of a militia group formed to protect the people's land when the government decides to divide the people's land and give some of it to strangers. Baba, the writer's father, is considered as a traitor by the militia since he lends the government survey or Apanga and Makonga ropes. News breaks out that the militia has begun attacking government representatives. The narrator's family lives in fear of this attack to the extent that they block the sitting room door with sacks of maize and beans. The narrator and BOYI laugh about it as they feel that the militia would not harm them. However, the narrator recalls how the militia came to their home and demanded money. Baba offers to give them everything that he owns, his savings, a hunting gun, Sony transistor radio, and even promises to sell his bull to save his family. However, the militia group declines, forcing Baba to hand over his son BOYI to the militia. After BOYI is taken away, Mama starts behaving like a mad person. She, however, lives in the hope that BOYI will return by escaping from the militia one day. The narrator recalls how at first neighbors would visit them often to console them, but later they stopped coming. Later, Saulo visits this family to inform them that the government had launched Operation Okoa Maisha and had dispatched a troop of 200 armed forces men to flush out the militia. Next day, Baba and his cousin Kimutai dig a shallow grave at the back of their house to bury a banana stem, and then wrapped in a green cotton sheet, believing that his son is dead. Mama refuses to participate in escorting BOYI's spirit away. Seasons passed as the brutality of the militia rose. They would cut up people and throw the bloodied bodies in the rivers, pit latrines, and public wells. They would forcibly recruit boys as young as 10 years and even started taking girls to go and cook for them. Cases of rape also increased. As a result, people lived in fear, making many of them run away to Bungoma and Uganda. After the army troops arrive, Chesaina, an old friend, delivers news that BOYI had become a marked man since he was Matwake's right-hand man. News further devastates Mama and the narrator, who spends the night in BOYI's bed. The following day, Simon visits the narrator's house. He delivers the Nation newspaper, which bore the news: ragtag militia leader killed by the army forces. It now dawns on the narrator that her brother is no more. She rushes to the parents' bedroom and hands over the newspaper to Baba to read. Upon reading the news, Baba crumples to the floor while Mama's laughter is heard piercing the morning dawn. She's gone nuts. Surprisingly, even after Simeone's description of how BOYI was thrown out of an aircraft by a sergeant, Mama does not weep but speaks BOYI's name softly as she sits on his bed while BOYI's sister lets her tears roll down her face. As the story ends, the narrator explains how she sensed BOYI's death when the Nandi flame tree at the front of their house fell. This one is going to be very fast. But quickly, let's look at the thematic concerns. One, we have traditions, believes in genies. Traditions and believe in genies. The community in the story believes in the presence of powerful evil spirits known as genies. This is seen when Mama talks to the visitors who frequent their home once BOYI is taken away. She tells them that how BOYI saved her marriage by confirming that genies did not tie up her womb. That's found on page 93. The people also practice the ritual of burying a banana stem to send death away, where a person disappears and their bodies are not found. The narrator reports how Baba and his cousin Kumtai dug a shallow grave and buried a banana stem wrapped in a green cotton sheet. The father muttered, "Death, take this body. Take it, and do not bother my home with your visits again." Page 93. This ritual is performed after Saulo's story that the government had launched Operation Okoa Maisha, where armed forces troops are sent to flush out militia members. It shows that the fear of the people that the operation will lead to more deaths. The people are also seen to hold on to some superstitions. The falling of the huge Nandi flame signifies something significant was bound to happen. The narrator sees this as a bad omen, while the mother thinks it means the end of evils for her family. And I quote, "I knew it was a bad omen even though Mama came out of her room, jubilantly declared that the evil which was to come to our house had been struck down and swallowed by the Nandi flame." We have a theme of land, war, and its effects. The story is rooted in a revolt resulting from the government dividing land and giving it to strangers. The revolt leads to forming a militia group to counterattack the government's decision and fight those who collaborate with the government. Now, the militias has various effects. One, they demanded the land protection tax. They had chopped off the heads of the families if one did not give them money, page 92. You can find that there. The recruitment of young men to the militia. Boy is recruited by force to the militia because Baba has given him out since he cannot afford to pay the money demanded. Hold on to the boy until I find you 40,000 land protection tax, and then I'll have him back. Page 91. So many other young men had been recruited into the militia, says Mama. Had his ears not caught stones of neighbor's son recruited by the militia? That's found on page 92. The militia goes from house to house, forcefully recruiting boys as young as 10 years, page 95. People living in fear. The villagers of Kopsiro, Savomet, Chepkuk all live in fear and a thick yellow fog of fear over them. That is an evidence, a citation of the text. You can find that on page 95. That also supports this allegation or assertion up there. People failed to work. Farmers did not clear their champers for the second planting of the maize crop because the militia stole young crops from the fields and goats from their pens. The narrator's friend, Chemutai, said that the narrator's breast grew too fast because she had spent too much time outside instead of working chap-chap like a normal Musag tree girl. We also have the theme of murder, brutal killings, rather. The militia did cut up people and threw their blooded bodies in rivers, pit latrines, and public wells. The people say that they even cut off their necks. The narrator overhears Baba being told that those recruited have to go back home and kill a close relative so that their hearts are strong to kill others. Boy is killed for being part of the militia. We also have displacement of people from their land and homes. Of course, that one is very short. People flee from their homes since there is a mass exodus to Bungoma and Uganda, found on page 95. There's lack of schooling. Definitely there will be no schooling around in such kind of an ordeal. The narrator says that nobody went to school anymore because of the war. She spends her days under the Nandi flame tree with half-closed eyes. Page 95. Sovereign. There is much of sovereign which is evidently evident in this particular short story, Boy. The writer points out clearly how society goes through suffering as a result of the war. Mama experiences emotional suffering when Baba gives out Boy to the militia to be recruited since the family could not afford the 40,000 land protection fee. The writer says that madness had entered Mama's eyes the day Baba pushed Boy to Matwa K. That's supposed to be Matwa K, good students, not Mativa K, Matwa K. She tore over her kitenge and started shouting at Baba, telling him that he was sick in the head if he thought Boy would return. Mama did not eat her food and starved in the days that followed, muttering to herself how ugali would remain untouched until a gusty brown film formed. The narrator had to throw it away to the chicken coop. She also continued engaging herself in monologues. That is on page 94. The narrator also experiences pain and very much suffering. Evident, of course. She felt queasy once Baba informed them that the militia would have killed them for not giving out the 40,000 land protection tax. The narrator felt as if someone had pulled her inside and through her nostrils. When they were informed of Boy's death, she cried bitterly. She let the tears roll down her face and soaked her blue silk blouse and purple boop top. That is on page 97. Baba suffers when forced to hand over his son Boy to the militia. He experiences agony when Mama questions him since he knew very well that if he didn't, he risked his family being killed by the militia. He sat there and held his rage firmly with his hands. He pulled his lips to a narrow thread like a line drawn onto his dark face by a ruler. When they are informed that Boy is a marked man, Baba goes through some emotional torture. For the first time, the narrator saw her father crying. That day I saw Baba tears, page 96. That's a citation from the text. The community undergoes suffering because of the war as some of the people are brutally murdered. The militia cut the people and threw the bodies in rivers, pit latrines, and public wells. Some of the militia are said to kill close relatives so that their hearts are strong to kill others. Therefore, the militia forgets its initial objective of protecting the land. Instead, now they are even cutting off our necks. The militia also rapes their blood relatives who give birth to babies. Betrayal, we also have betrayal, sorry. Good students, that is supposed to be also be betrayal. Betrayal is also another theme that comes out very clear, evidently in the text. Then we should have gone down betrayal, step below it, the point. So the writer points out how some people betray others in society. Baba betrays his community by insisting that the government representative with a panga and makonge ropes when the government divides the people's land and gives it to some strangers. The militia betrays the community in that it was meant to fight for by meting out evil the people whose land now they are fighting for. The narrator overhears their neighbor's chorus telling her father that they forgot that they were to protect our land from being given to those lazy strangers. Now they even cut off our necks. Page 95. The government betrays its people by dividing their land and giving it to strangers, leading to the formation of what? Formation of that particular group of people, that formation of that particular militia group, rather. Good students, they're supposed to end of that particular militia group. And up to that particular point, because I've been too fast, how I wish that you pause along the lines so that at least you get the best part of it. The part that maybe I was too rushy, so quick that we didn't get. You can interject or pause by maybe pausing in between so that you have your points. And I will indicate and suggest that while you're doing this particular work, make sure that you're at a comfy place, that you're up with a book, your notebook, a pen. Much of this work really makes sense when you're going through it diligently. I would also want to say that I'm also a beneficiary of the online platform sessions, and very very useful. Find it very useful that you really consider to use this particular platform. And because you're not doing monkey business, I would also want you to also help me preach this particular good news to people out there. You only do this, you share it with good friends. First of all, those ones that you know this work immediately, they're the first beneficiaries, so that they keep on sharing in that particular order. And above all, I just want to wish you the very best. In case you want to reach me, definitely those are tiny details. Tabiga and Sherlock, they are my initials. You can reach me through that email address down there. And my online WhatsApp, which is 24/7 on. I'm online 24/7, and uh, we can be able to interact in that particular platform in details. Try to see if there's some areas of inquiries that maybe you do want maybe to maybe to shed light on, and maybe any help and support at a personal level. Cheers, and have a good day for now.